Alrighty then, boys and girls, it's time to do the Wowhead Weekly Wrap-Up. This is episode 185. First and foremost, we have to give a big shout out to Samadan, who puts the effort in to get this out for us each and every week. It's a nice little overview of what's been happening and an indication of what we can expect coming forward. This week, let's take a little look at the table of contents. We have legendary sales and the Kawartha Crystals. We have the unlocking of flying and some gold making opportunities from flying. We had TSM 4.11 being released. I've got a lot to say about that for sure. Venture Plan has been discontinued and there's some alternatives we can look at. There's a release of Worth It version 4, and then there's a little bit of further reading for those that want to dive in a bit deeper. So firstly, legendary sales in the Kawartha Crystals. This has been a super hot topic this week, as this week we've been able to start actually crafting these base items, both ranks 5s and rank 6s, which has in turn caused some crazy things to happen for sure. But now that we're in the second week of 9.1, many things have opened up for those that were able to put in some time and dedication on various reps and renowns. The campaign opening up at renown 45 unlocked flying and also the recipe for the Vestige of Origins. It was 44, but it doesn't matter. Last week I reported that the Vestige might still be behind Death's Advanced Rep, but this week it's been clarified that it was opened up once you hit Renown 44 and completing the campaign up to that point. I did kind of tell people this. I tried to tell as many people this that were willing to listen, but not everybody did. We knew in advance that Vestige of Origins was just going to be a quest reward that was linked to the campaign. The only reason you ever need to be Death's Advance honoured to buy the Vestige of Origins is if you complete the campaign before you level your professions. If you haven't got your professions on that character and want to start crafting with them, and say for example you complete the campaign, if you complete the campaign you're not going to get the quest reward for the Vestige of Origins. It just means that you can go and buy it from the vendor after. At this point in the game though, it's probably irrelevant to 90% of people. But anyway, with the Vestige of Origins being available, people are able to craft their rank 5 and 6 base items. However though, people cannot actually make use of them yet. Initial sales have been very slow. Yes, can confirm initial sales have been very, very slow. But prices have been amazingly high. At the time of writing, the most available is the Grimveiled Cape at rank 6, which was on Draenor, and there was 22 of them with an average price of, a mean price, which is basically a mean price of 483,000 gold. This is because Kawartha Crystals, right? There's a huge amount of just straight up crafting cost in these new ranks 5 and 6s, with the lion's share of the cost coming from Kawartha Crystals. You can see though that the outrageous price has not prevented people from crafting them. Whether these be goblins trying to get ahead of the game, the whole early bird catches the worm theory, or whether these are people that have just had their professions in order and through doing some farming on Kawartha have realised that hang on, I can make one of these. And when they see the price of 500,000 gold on the auction house, the dollar signs get spinning in their eyes and they give it a go. We'll have to see how it pans out. But yeah, a good portion of the cost comes down to the Kawartha Crystals, which have seen a small spike this week as people start to craft them. It seems to be, as far as the EU is concerned anyway, that there's an average price kicking about 2,500-3,000 gold for these, which is making each Vestige of Origins you craft somewhere in the region of about 120,000 gold, give or take. And that's just for one part. You've obviously got the cost of making either a base rank 3 or a base rank 4, which, depending on which armor slot, could be anywhere between another 10 to 25,000 gold of cost on top of that. It means that even to craft one of these rank 5s or 6s, you're probably going to have to spend somewhere in the region of about 150,000 gold in just base materials. that's going to mean that the price of these legendaries is going to be relatively high for a good couple of weeks, I'd imagine. There's not many people that are willing to risk that much gold in crafting an item to try and make a profit on it. It's a big amount of gold to risk, because what happens if the prices crash and you end up losing, like, even if you only lose 10%, you're still losing 15,000 gold, which is a huge amount of gold to a lot of people. The quantity available is fairly steady and has risen on many servers. It's not surprising that the quantities of Kawartha Crystals are rising, because everybody is still farming Kawartha for the most part, and there's only a handful of people that are engaging in actually buying these crystals, people that are trying to keep ahead of the game. The mean price in the EU as of time of writing was 3,186, which makes the Kawartha Crystal portion 130,000 gold. Yeah, this is a bit ridiculous. It's a lot of gold. That's all I can say. It's a lot of gold. somebody chimes in. I believe this is going to be a Reddit post. Something that folks are underestimating is the fact that the season opens up today. Yes, this was probably referring back to last Tuesday/Wednesday. We had all of the first week with nothing to do, so many were able to farm up Kawartha Crystals and do it on many alts. Is the same situation plausible this week though, with PvP season, M+ season, normal heroic raid opening up? I've been saying this from the get-go. Each mythic progress guild is going to need 800 crystals as a baseline. That's enough crystals for one of every 20. That's enough for every one of the 20 players in a mythic guild to have one legendary. It's more like 920 to 1,000 with a proper bench, and this also isn't including things like flexible shamans, who will probably want to have 2 or 3 Legos to be mythically viable. I think what they're forgetting is that whilst Kawartha Crystals are expensive, Soul Cinders are still actually the bottleneck. Even shamans who want 2 or 3 legendaries are still going to have to choose which one they want first. The rest of them, they'll just level up to 4. If your server has even 10 progress guilds, that's an automatic 8,000 to 10,000 crystals. Not to mention all of the heroic guilds and the more casual player base. Of course, depending on the raiding scene, it depends what the raiding scene is like on your server, but this is the reason I think things will spike hard. TLDR, more things to do equals less farming, equals less supply, during a heightened demand, meaning the price of Kawartha Crystals will likely rise. I mean, as an analogy, I think I agree. It was going to be interesting to see if it works out that way in reality, because reality doesn't always follow the theories perfectly, but it is true. The more time that people spend doing other things in the game is the less time that they're spending farming Kawartha, and if they're choosing to not farm Kawartha as much, the likelihood is they will get less crystals, which will then drop the supply of crystals at the exact same time when everybody is going to want the crystals. So it certainly appears like the 2,000 to 3,000 gold you can pay for your Kawartha Crystals now quite comfortably might very well change in the next few days. It's going to be an interesting time for sure. But let's move on to the next thing then. Let's move on to flying. We've spoke a lot about Kawartha Crystals and legendaries in recent times, so flying is now available, and there are some definite goal making opportunities that come with it. Farming herbs and ore has become a lot easier. This is very true. I want to even do a little bit of testing myself to just, fly around, see what the differences are, see just how many nodes you can hit in a certain time frame, and we can extrapolate from that roughly the gold potential from it. I would imagine, at least for the next couple of weeks, because the demand for materials is going to be ridiculous. If you have that character that has herbalism and mining, you should absolutely, in any downtime, even if you're just, if you're waiting to find a mythic raid, if you're trying to find an M+ group, or you're waiting for your arena queues, or whatever the case may be, any downtime, jump on your gatherer, fly around, pick up some stuff. It's going to be well worth you doing so. because the price of the materials is going to be relatively steady for a while, I think, because the demand will be quite high for them. Expect to see many new routes over the next few weeks, and prices of said materials to steadily drop over time. This will be over time. I don't think the prices are going to drop very heavily very quickly, because like we said, the demand for these materials right now is really strong. That being said, though, they will drop eventually. The fact that farming materials becomes much easier with flying, it means one of two things. Either people have to spend less time to achieve the same as what they were already doing now, or in the same amount of time they gather up considerably more materials, which is a recipe for certainly dropping material prices over time. But it won't be too drastic too quickly, I don't imagine. Leystrite is half the price of Ghost Iron Ore on my realm. Yeah, weird and wacky stuff does happen, that is for sure. That being said, the new Mythic season and raid is now open, so demand for things like potions will definitely keep the prices pretty buoyant. I don't know how it is. I don't know if this belongs here, but it's something I noticed. You can efficiently farm Widowbloom at Dominance Keep area in the southwest of Revendreth. I do a circle and I pick up 4 nodes, which is somewhere around 20 per minute. 20 Widowbloom a minute? Hang on. That's oh, okay. There's an edit to this. I got too excited with the numbers. Sometimes there are less than 4 nodes, sometimes there are 5. Also, sometimes I get Nightshade, which usually costs much less than Widowbloom. I've been doing this for 15 minutes and got 110 pieces of Widowbloom and some Nightshade, which still is worth something. How are these 4, like, just 4 nodes hyperspawning? This seems way over the top. Way over the top. 110 pieces of Widowbloom in 15 minutes. That's 400. That's over 400 Widowbloom an hour. Maybe we'll test this at some point. Also, this area is supposed to be filled with elites and has uneven elevation. Therefore, the area somewhat more nodes than other areas in Revendreth, which is literally pointless now that we can just fly with druids, never have to fight anything. So go give it a try. We might test this. We might test this on stream at some point. We might give this a little bit of a blast. There's definitely going to be some good farming spots appearing. The fact that we were always stuck on foot meant that the routes that we had to take were very sort of snaky routes. You had to, you had to take a lot of detours around dangerous mobs and take the paths up cliffs and stuff like that. All of that is basically removed with flying. You literally just want to go from one mob to one node to one node to one node to one node, and you can really make a much more optimized route with the ability of flying as well. So I'm sure some people are already out there testing, already making new routes. If I come across any good ones, I'll be sure to let you know. But yeah, flying equals gold right now, for sure. Next on the list, we have Trade Skill Master 4.11 being released. Trade Skill Master, without doubt, is a massive advantage to any aspiring or seasoned goblin. Trade Skill Master gives you so much more flexibility and can really optimize what it is you're doing. And TSM 4.11 has brought about with it some really good quality of life improvements, and additionally support for newer Shadowlands based features that weren't supported previously. TSM 4.11 is now available. If you're using the desktop application, it will update automatically. So if you are using the desktop application, you will already be using TSM 4.11 now, even if you didn't realise. One of the main things that's been added is a change in how you can group your items up. This is meant to this has led to quite a few people wanting to redo their groups. And I don't blame them, because the new features that you can do is directly to support the crafting of things like 168 gear, item level 200 gear, even the new shiny 230 gear. You can create your groups in a slightly different fashion now that is allows you to handle those different item levels much more simply. Additionally, there is better item tracking. The inventory now tracks based on item level as well. So instead of telling you that you have 12 Grimveiled capes, it will now tell you that you have 3 rank 1s, 3 rank 2s, 3 rank 3s. It's time to promote your Patreon. Thank you, Vallegro. Yes, I'll slip in a small shameless plug here. My Patreons do get access to my Trade School Master groups and operations, of which have all been updated to TSM 4.11 and 9.1. So as it stands at the moment, if you are a Silver Goblin on my Patreon, you can basically get a pre-made setup ready to rock and roll. Thank you for the reminder to sell out. Thank you. Link is in the description, by the way. There are some drag and drop for moving your items around in the groups. So if you are planning on redoing your groups, actually creating a nice profile, you can just drag and drop things about now. It's a small little quality of life thing. There was a little bit. It was in TSM 4.10, but it wasn't as smooth and it didn't work as easily. Now they've got rid of the bugs and it's pretty good. There are some other cool things. Regional based data for both Classic and TBC, and also some more information about battle pets. So for any of you aspiring multi-realm pet sellers out there, you get yourself a little bit more data on the going rate for these pets region-wide, which is nice. And yes, custom themes. We've spoke about this a little bit before. You can set now a custom theme. You can make your Trade School Master window look absolutely gross. You can do some weird and wacky colours. Make it pink. Turn everything white so you can't see the text. There's lots of stupid things you can do in here. Hey, if you like that sort of stuff, do it. Not for me though. I'll stick with the default. The greatest feature by far is the ability to restock and apply optional reagents. Samadan has put together a little video on all of the TSM changes. Check that out if you haven't already. And a small heads up for those watching this through my channel, that I'll be doing some small videos on the TSM updates as well, with a small little tutorial on how to get yourself up and running. Coming soon. Next on the list though, we have Venture Plan. Venture Plan has been discontinued. Discontinued is probably not the right word. The creator of the Venture Plan add-on, which is what we use to min-max our command table, the guy's decided to take a step back from World of Warcraft, and in such, he's taking a step back from updating his add-on as well. Whether something new will come through, we'll have to wait and see. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody just makes a copy-paste of Venture Plan and updates it for patch 9.1. It was such a good add-on, and was slowly starting to look really solid, that it's a bit of a shame that it's just going to be, you know, no updates for patch 9.1, but I'm sure somebody will take the reins or just create their own. Venture Plan does still work for 9.0 missions though, so you can still utilize it. Just be aware though that the new spells and abilities and changes in patch 9.1 to the command table aren't in effect with Venture Plan. So sometimes Venture Plan will tell you that, yep, this mission might complete and you might win this mission, when actually in reality you probably won't, because it's not taken into consideration half of the mechanics that have been applied to these new missions. So just be careful if you do still use Venture Plan. It really goes to show that some add-ons are instrumental to players' experience, and it would be great to have a platform to support add-on makers who put in their hard-earned time and skill into making these. For the most part, there is. It's called Patreon. Most add-on developers will have a Patreon, and it's worthwhile hunting them down and throwing them a couple of bucks a month if you like what it is they do. In the goal-making community, there's not so many add-ons that are crucial to us. Legendary Stock Tracker is one that's very worthwhile. TSM is another one. Venture Plan was one that was very heavily utilised by the gold making community. So if you have a spare couple of bucks, hunt down these guys' patrons and give them give them a little bit of your support. It's worthwhile for sure. Talking about gold making add-ons, Worth It 4.0 has now been released. Some of you guys will know DalaGG, a regular YouTuber. He is the guy behind Worth It. For those that have like to do a bunch of farming in their spare time, Worth It is a very cool little add-on. It tells you exactly it gives you an estimation to roughly how much gold you could do from different farms around the world, whether you want to be collecting materials or whether you want to be just hunting down battle pets, or whatever the case may be. Worth It 4.0 has had some updates, so let's take a little bit of a look at what's new. Open world rares and raid pets, there's 3 new modules to support those. Battle pet farms you can do in the open world, pets you can farm from rare elite mobs, also raid farms that you can do. Farm Planner module. Farm Planner is a new feature for making a farming list within Worth It. This is so that you can search through the add-on of farms and take your fancy and then export them to a checklist using the Executive Assistant add-on for list placement. Okay, so if you want to give your... I guess this is to basically say, here's a checklist of maybe rares you should fly around and kill because they have a chance of a battle pet. Maybe you should do this farm for 20 minutes every day sort of thing. I guess you can use... Executive Assistant is another add-on that basically is just a to-do list. So I guess it's got integration with that now, which is quite cool. Custom price source. This is one new feature I'm most proud of. It's the custom price strings. This is so that you can create your own custom price strings for farming, for valuing different farms. To note, these strings are done the same way you would make a string for Trade Skill Master. Oh, that's quite cool. That's quite cool. So now you can say, instead of previously I think the pricing for Worth It was just like a realm average price, but now you can do something. Just I would imagine then Worth It piggybacks off Trade Skill Master's data as well then. So I guess you need Trade Skill Master for Worth It to really work effectively. I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest, I've not used Worth It a lot because I'm not a big farmer. But I know people who do farm regularly find great use out of this. There's a search bar. We all know what search bars do. The Worth It recorder has gone under some TLC to make it more helpful for the end user. The initial recorder showing more information on your farming session now has different nodes which are you available to use. Oh, I guess the recorder was mainly similar I would imagine to Loot Appraiser, in terms of it's just tracking all the loot that you've acquired during a certain period. It's always used TSM data, has it? Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Some navigation menus, just cleaning up the UI, I would imagine. Drop down for routes. You can import farms. This is probably going to be helpful for those big farmers out there. Maybe you'll be able to, I don't know, tap up Student Albatross for his favourite farming routes or something like that. That could be quite helpful. And then some tips and tricks. If you want to know a little bit more about the new update to Worth It, DalaGG has put together a little video, 0 to gold cap add-on. Good old YouTube clickbait. We love ourselves some of that. Either way, it's worthwhile checking out. You can get it on CurseForge if you wish. And there we go. That was the and then on to some further reading. That was the Wowhead Economy Weekly Wrap Up, number 185. We're very, very closely rolling in 200 episodes of this, which will be quite cool. Finally, once again, a little bit of a shout out to Samadan. Thank you for putting this together for us each and every week. You can check him out on either his Twitch or you can go say hi to him over on Twitter. If you want to do some further reading, check out the WoW Economy subreddit. There is also their Discord server as well. But there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. If you enjoy these weekly economy wrap-up overviews, remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.